My name is Thandanani Manyathi. I'm the Learning Program Advisor at the MICT SETA.
Beautiful. So what does a learning advisor do?
As the name says, I advise on the learning programs that the SETA provides. Of course, we have just a couple currently, like learnership skills program, WIL program, which are abbreviation for work integrated learning. We also have graduate internships. We also have bursaries, and as well as on the RPL space. That is one of the very few that hasn't been well known, because as the SETA also we focus on in our community, there are that level of people who could not finish matric and who cannot go back there because there's a cut-off age, and as well as they cannot go to university, but they've got skills. We normally refer to them as like bush mechanics, people who can just do something and it put bread on their table. So we also just advise with how to fund or how to help those people so that they can get a recognized, qualification.
I love it. Speaking on that as well.
Yes.
So how do we talk to a young person after matric that they would need this as a skill set? So they want to be employed after doing a qualification.
Right.
So how would you convince them that this is one of the things to look into?
Oh my goodness, a very interesting question, because I'm the product of the SETA program myself, First of all, not only after matric, I always say that the system is kind of like failing our youngsters, because the SETA information is supposed to be communicated even as early as grade 10, where they are embarking on their career. But the most interesting part of the advantage of the SETA program is that we don't train for the sake of training. We don't operate like the institution where whatever you find in their curriculum, they will train that. And it's none of their business what happens after you got your qualification or graduation. Where the SETA is different. SETA has got 3 core divisions. In fact, we have the SSP, which is a sector skills plan. What do? They are constantly talking to the industry. So if you think of media, advertising, and ICT, think of all those companies there. SABC, MultiChoice, for whatever. I'm talking about media, advertising. So we collect the data from the industry. It's the industry that tells us we have a shortage of skills in this particular whatever. It could be cybersecurity, it could be technician, it could be film and video, because our qualifications, which they are way over 100, now with the inclusion of the latest within the 4th industrial revolution space. So basically, back to your question, the SETA will respond to the industry. For us, when you see a program that is run by the SETA, it's because it is informed by the industry. So that, what does it mean? There is a high level of employability. Yes. So we monitor the program. At the end of the program, also it's our responsibility as the SETA to monitor, to go back now to the industry, to say, guys, you said in terms of the skills shortage, we need a technician. So we go back there, said, guys, so employ them. It's our responsibility to ensure those learners are being employed. Either they are employed or they are starting their own business, because the nature of the qualification, it gives the person a personal skill. Yeah.
So in terms of awareness.
Yes.
So the reason I'm coming from Soweto.
Yes.
I'm more than 100% sure that most kids in Soweto, they don't know about this.
Yes.
So in terms of accessibility and awareness,
yes,
how do you make those kids aware of such a thing?
Yeah, very interesting question again, because again, there is just a lot of platform that we're just using, of course, currently with our media space, but we also do run a career fair, and as much as we used to do that in a kind of a full scale, but when in terms of the funds, there were some changes, especially in terms of the regulation in the National Treasury, in terms of how much budget that we use on that space. So we were also encouraged that we must partner with government department, because all government department, they must have some kind of like youth information. So what do we do especially into that? So we also we get invitation from the government department just to give us that information. But again, bringing even more personal, because the SETAs have been in existence since 2001. In fact, the Skills Development Act is 1998. When I was first introduced into that, of course, it was way back, like as I was a learner in the learnership, that was 2003, because I knew at the time there was no information where I come from. I took it upon myself. I visited my principal. I went back there. I said, no man, there's this information about the cities, Then, so I always again encourage the learners whenever we interact in the program. Guys, let's go back there. The word of mouth is still more powerful, but we are always available to be, whenever there is that kind of gathering of the youth. In fact, June 16, we've been doing Lapane Arena, Sport Arena. We've been just going there because we have to partner with different, kind of people. But as the city can even come to us direct, we have our marketing department that always manage that. But at our accessibility, our website, our office are here. We have the footprint. In fact, since 2011, also our highest minister was established that we the sitters, because most people are saying we are not available as we're supposed to. But of course, we have partnered with all the FETs in Soweto, Lapana, George Tabo, Lapane, Dobsonville. So the expectation is that when learners are coming there, whoever is in the admin must also be able to tell the learners about the SETA programs, because that is where also our accessibility, is just access, especially on that space. Yeah.
So in terms of affordability,
yes.
Now let's talk about affordability. So an unemployed young man in Soweto has no funds.
Right.
So how is this thing going to be accessible to them as well?
Very interesting, because with the SETA programs, you are sure not to pay even a cent. We make sure there's a company for you to do your practical space. Remember, I said earlier on, we are skills development. So as long as there's a company that will ensure that you are getting the relevant skill in your qualification, we partner with that company. So it is the duty of that company to recruit the learner. Of course, the program must be within the 25-kilometer radius of where the learner are coming from, because especially when we are for unemployed, because being unemployed, it means you are not paying for your rent, you are not paying for food, because those are things that it must be very clear about. Sometimes, with the black tax, sometimes, learners are expected now just to foot the bill. Some, they even leave the province to other, but nevertheless, just to summarize that, the program of the city, especially of the unemployed, are fully funded. We take care of that, even up to the university level, by the way, the bursary, as long as it is a public, not a private, because being in a private, it simply it has that kind of a small indication that you can afford. But up to the private university, we fund learners who are just in terms of the skills development up to that. Yeah.
So in terms of partnering, I heard you mentioning partnering with other companies.
Yes.
What have you learned from those partnerships? What maybe were your challenges that you met? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The most challenge that we've been experiencing, which we are really working on that one, is when we partner with an employer. Even before we even issue what is called a service level agreement, the contract, we need to do the vetting. What is the vetting do? In simple says is to confirm the capacity in terms of the resources and the human resources. So there must be experienced mentors and the supervisors who understand the industry, but also on the resources. Let's say we are dealing with somebody who's just in the film and TV. We must make sure that there are resources, there are cameras, there are everything, every equipment, and the latest one, so that when learners have been exposed to that, they are ready for employment. Like, for instance, SABC is migrating from analog to digital, so we can no longer vet or partner with a company that is still more on the analog. As much as it's important for learner to, when you're learning the new skill, you need to know where did it start. We're talking now fourth industrial revolution. There was a first, there was a second, there was a third. So sometimes, but it is important for us to make sure that the company that we're partnering with, it uses the latest technology, latest information, so that when learners are done with the training, they are ready to be absorbed. They don't need even further, exposure in one way or that. So that has been mainly the challenge, and also with the stipend. Most of the time, people know the SETA that they don't pay stipend. They don't know what goes through in one way or the other. But again, that is also one has been the challenge, where we find now learners talking to the media saying we are not being paid in one way or the other. But I can assure you with MICT, as I'm just here, we do monitoring. We don't just give the contract and we'll wait until the end. It is our duty to monitor that it is properly implemented, and we don't just rely on the progress report, which comes from the employer. We go there to talk to the learner to confirm the content of this program. What exactly is it happening? We check the POEs when the program is about the POEs, but at the end of the day, that is that ongoing. We only even share our cell numbers with the learner so that they know if they are frustrated within the whatever structure, they can escalate things just to us. Yeah.
Okay, the other question that I'd love to know, up to which age are you guys accommodating these people? And secondly, these students,
Yes.
After maybe they've graduated or whatever they have been done,
Yes.
and how do you help them maybe to get funding if they want to do certain projects?
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The first
Yes,
question is
looking-
about the age. Okay. All right. So, by the sort of mind, okay, sorry, I'm just looking at you at here.
I'm the reference.
You okay? No, that's fine. Yeah. But the age is still, because now we are also governed by, those kind of act in terms of the youth. But the focus is mainly on youth, which is 18 to 35. However, we have two types of learners. There is this one which is unemployed and the employed. So it does not mean that once we are over 35 we cannot fund you. So, but it comes in a different form because again it's the company. Like currently what has been happening since this migration to the digital space, there's been a lot of people in the space who are already employed but who are reskilling or upskilling, because you already know I was employed as a technician here, but now there's a new software, or maybe in the media space, I need to operate the desk, there's a new software, new technology. So again, we cater for those beyond this bracket. But if you're unemployed, it must be between 18 to 35. But yeah, I think that question is also that. But again, your second question, how do you help the youth? Remember I said for us to implement the program, we were informed by the industry. So once we're done, we go back to the industry. Guys, here are the people. Now they've been trained. And in fact, it is our standard that at least up to 70% of the learner in the program must be absorbed. And we hold them now very accountable, because part of the vetting, they must also commit, they must tell us how much or how many learners they are willing to absorb, okay, which is part of the vetting. So that's why, of course, that is where it starts. So when at the end of the program, they must absorb that, and unless, because when they are not employed or when that is not happening the way it is expected, so it means the SETA was misled by the industry. So it's a partnership that, as I'm saying, which they are the one who telling us, of course you may ask what happens to the 30%. The nature of the qualification is that it gives you a personal skill. Some in the technical support, they have decided that no man, I want to start my own, whether what is this especially in our location, our internet cafes and stuff like that. Other people have just ventured into that. But again, adding to your question again, because the question could be, you said those want to start something. As the SETA, unfortunately, our mandate is only on the skills development. We only fund e-training. However, in our space, we operate, where we're operating, there is a SETA, corner or SETA, for those who want to establish or to start our businesses in one way or the other. We refer them to them. There is NYDA in terms of these young people in one way or the other, because they are mandated, of course, to fund those kind of things. But we do facilitate the communication. It's just that in our space, it is not in our mandate. But we ensure that, of course, after that training, we do keep the database and also do the follow-up. In fact, it has even been beefed with the latest program that will request us to know what the company that was participated, what is happening, where are the learners, But that is also have some participation taking place.
Thank you very much.